Okay, in this part of the section, we're going to be working with making sure our numbers are in proper scientific form. So first of all, let's discuss what is proper scientific form. Well, that's where our front number is only going to, it has to fall between 1 and it has to be less than 10. So in other words, we have to have a number that has at least one digit in front of the decimal. Okay, it can have digits back here, but we can only have one number to the left of the decimal. It is always going to be times 10 with an exponent. Okay, so let's look at this first one. We have 453.2 times 10 to the negative 4. So remember, it has to fall between 1 but be less than 10. Okay, less than 10. Okay, so that's greater than 10. So we're going to move it so that it becomes less than 10. So we only want one number to the left. So we're going to move our decimal there. Okay, so normally, if I didn't already have this part here, I'm just going to kind of cross this off right now. We would convert this to 4.532 times 10. And that was bigger. So that's a positive thing. So 2 places, right? We want 2 places between old and new. Now, here's what you have to realize. We're now going to put this original back onto the end. So we're just going to write times 10 to the negative 4. Now, going back sections, the beginning of the chapter, what would happen when we had the same base number and we were multiplying the exponents? Do you remember? We would add them. So final answer, 4.532 times 10, and 2 plus a negative 4 gives me negative 2. Okay, some of you are going to find shortcuts as you get more comfortable with this, but this is kind of the way to start it out so you're understanding. We're going to create that same base number, and then we're going to use skills that we already know. Okay? And this one takes practice. It's not an easy concept. Okay, so we only want one number in front of that decimal. I want to move this over one place. So one thing that we can do is we already know that if we rewrote it, it would be times 10 with that new exponent, right? So it's a positive because it was bigger than 10. And we want one place, so it's a positive 1. So notice how I just wrote that positive 1 instead of writing it like this, 1.43 times 10 to the positive 1 times 10 to the positive 7. Do you notice how I was going to add between those anyway. I just wrote the new exponent up there. So that's another shortcut that you can do. Final answer, 1.43 times 10. 7 plus 1 gives me 8 for a new exponent. Okay, I love this method. Some of you might have to start out with that method, okay? But if you can figure out the new exponent, sometimes it's just as easy to write that next to it. It's faster. Okay, so let's look. We need one number that's not a 0 to the left, so I have to move my decimal to there. So I had to move 1, 2, 3 places. It was less than 10, right? So it's smaller, less than 1. So we're going to say it's a negative, and we went 3 places. So now let's put those together. It becomes 3.0 or 3 times 10. And then negative 3 minus 3 is a negative 6. Final answer. Okay, so if it's less than 10, remember, less than 10, that's a bad thing. That's a negative thing. If it's greater than 10, or less than 1, sorry, that's a negative thing. Greater than 10, that's a positive thing. Okay, so I want you to go ahead, pause your video. If you're not comfortable with doing it on your own, then just watch as I go through these. Otherwise, pause your video, try these 2 out, and then restart your video to check yourself. Okay, so final answers for each of these. So in the first one, because it was less than 1, that was a negative move of 2 places. So I wrote a minus 2, so then negative 4 minus 2 gave me the negative 6 as my new exponent. On the second one, we only had to move one place. The number was originally greater than 10. That's a positive thing, but we only had to move positive one place. So that's where I got the +1. And then 6 plus 1 gave us 7 for our new exponent.